Well, puppies and kittens, welcome to another episode of Quran Lessons for the Infidel. And we are still working on Surah 2, which I'm frankly amazed is so long that we've had to do multiple episodes for it. Not just two of them, not just three, not even maybe four, but I'm being told that this is so long that today's session may have to go long. And I'm hoping that there are no other surahs in the Quran that are this long. Every other one, as you know, we would either do one show on one chapter or we would do one show on multiple chapters because a lot of them are quite short. It's ridiculous that to me that we have one so disproportionately outsized compared to everything else. If you get a cough, please mute yourself. Okay. All right. So, as usual, Bogey has notes to get us started. So, Bogey, take it away, sir.
Yes, sir. And the notes I have. Oh, we are going to start today's episode, which is number 4, the last quarter of the cow. Hopefully, we'll finish it this day. At 190, verse 190. And 190 is an interesting verse in its own right. It's abrogated, so that kind of adds
like practically everything is.
Well, unfortunately not. This is an unfortunate thing about the way the Quran written. It's worse when it's only mentioned once and it's not abrogated. It's literally make things worse. And I think we've already seen it. The bad things that are only mentioned once and they are not abrogated are usually very, very prominent. Anyway, so 190. So commence lethal combat as in fight. Those who fight you and don't transgress. I mean, you should not transgress. You should not attack first, because Allah doesn't like the transgressors, the assaulters, if you like to be more precise with that. But this verse is unfortunately abrogated by 9:5, which basically says, get them wherever you find them. And 9:36 for an additional reference to an abrogation. Even more interesting, sets 12 months and 4 to be holy. So fighting is specifically forbidden in them. So yes, you can fight in the name of Allah, but except in those holy months, you can't do it. And they shall fight you together. So you group up and go fight each other, because that's what the Quran says, right? In essence, the abrogation in this is more of an expansion and a kind of a specification where you can or cannot do the fighting. But other than that, it expands on this verse.
We get a lot of background noise. Somebody
Yeah.
mute your mic if you've got noise behind you. Go ahead, Bogey.
Yeah, I'm just done with this and the abrogation, if anyone wants to add to it.
Yeah, I want to say that it's connected to 190 is connected to 189, because those holy months they don't fight in. They are observed even in pre-Islamic Arabia.
Yes.
Because in those holy months are the time that people will travel to go do their Hajj.
Yes.
So it's like, okay, it is smart for us not to fight each other while we are traveling, because we are not at home. So we have to wait until we are back, then we'll fight.
Right. And yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So it is pre-Islamic tradition that Islam kept. Another thing like the Hajj, which is another pagan thing that Arab did before Islam, that we will talk about it in a little bit ahead, but it's the same thing. It's another reason, like another sign that Islam is not from the Almighty Creator of the universe, because it seems like a lot of things just they were like, oh, okay, we're doing this, so we're keeping it. We're just gonna put a new label on it. You know, when you have the old shampoo, it's not selling very well, so you just put a new label on it. Now you could sell it better.
It's extra 10%.
Yep.
Yes. Funny enough, you're right. 936 doesn't specifically say which months are the holy ones, because I think it doesn't, because everyone knows which ones are, right? So it must have been common knowledge at that time which are the holy months. It only says there are 12 months, and that's it. And 4 of them are the holy ones, and you shouldn't be fighting in the holy ones, but doesn't say which ones are the holy ones. In fact, it doesn't say in a lot of places that mentions this, which ones are the holy ones. So that must have been such a common knowledge that it didn't require saying. Okay, 191.
Are you wanting me to read it?
If you want to read it, please.
Okay. Let's see. Abrogated. Let me see. No, I don't have that.
You can read my notes.
Yeah, I'm seeing your notes. I don't have. What did I do with the page? Never mind. I'm not going to be able to read it. I have to pull it up.
Okay, no problem. So 191, spoiler alert, is abrogated. But what is it? 191 is a very zesty verse. It says, and fight them wherever, and it uses a very strange word, ثقفتموهم, wherever you found out where they are, and turn them out of their places. And the second sentence in this verse is, the fitnatu ashaddu min al-qatl. This is very, very bad. This is when there is strife, there is disagreement in theology. We don't believe like you believe. That is worse than killing. So it not only justifies armed conflict against people who picked up arms against them, it also justifies armed conflict against the people who disbelieve in Islam and who are just passively arguing against it.
Fight in God's cause against those who fight you, but do not overstep the limits. God does not love those who overstep the limits.
Right.
Okay.
Right. And the third part of this verse, do not fight them in the holy mosque, which by agreement is the Kaaba. Okay? But the verbiage does not hold that. So be careful when you go holy mosque. Every Muslim will understand it as, yes, that's the Kaaba. Sorry? So don't fight them in the holy mosque unless they decide to fight you in the holy mosque. But if they decide to fight you in the holy mosque, then kill them. And that is fitting for the non-believers. So this verse is abrogated. And let's see what happened here. Have knowledge of their whereabouts. Next point to fitna. Ayan Hirsi Ali's movie name, by the way. It's worse than killing, hell justifying the killing of otherwise peaceful apostates. And don't kill them in the holy mosque unless they fight you. Would I marked it as abrogated? Oh yeah, by 9.5. I'm sorry, I've almost missed it.
Like almost everything else.
Well, in this case, it is 9.5. Yes. 192 is our next verse.
But if they stop, then God is most forgiving and merciful.
Stop what?
Well, it's implying that by the previous verse that they're fighting.
Or
In the mosque.
disbelieving and causing fitna.
I think it means when they become Muslims. That's what the Quran meant.
Right. That's what it means.
If they stopped their disbelieving, then don't kill them.
Right.
Why do they always have to reverse? I mean, why do religious believers always have to reverse things so that disbelieving becomes an action? believing is the action, not the lack thereof.
No. Disbelieving is the action. You have to fight the truth. The truth is what they say, and if you don't believe it, that's an action.
That's
No.
that's one of the definition of kafir in Arabic, as someone who refused to accept the truth. That's one of the definitions. So they tell everyone who's not a Muslim is a kafir, which means that everyone, according to them, refused to accept the truth. And it is one of those, I don't know, self-indulgent type deal where they're like, yeah, we know we're on the right path because you don't want it. But again, here's all those three. They talk about it like they are on agreement, because they talk about a fitna. They don't talk about they talk about a fitna, which means like a unrest. They talk
Right.
about like kind of one group that's trying to tear itself apart, like a civil war, more than an actual two separate groups.
With fitna, you don't have to do any kind of violence. You don't even have. In fact, it's actually wrong to do it, because then it would be fighting, right?
Yeah. So
with fitna is, we have a sitting here. We're talking about Allah, and a bunch of us says there is no Allah, and the other bunch says, well, maybe there is, but he has partners, and the third bunch decides that, yeah, there are gods, but it's not Allah, right? And that's the fitna they're talking about. That strife, that disagreement is worse than killing.
And fitna in Arabic don't only. Okay, I understand the meaning Bogi said, but in Arabic, when we are described, the infidels, the atheists, the disbelievers, unbelievers, whatever, they're described that they are there to put havoc and put chaos among the people. Fatana it means like to put chaos and destroy the society around you. So fitna has a very deep meaning. It's worse than killing, because people who do the fitna are bad people in Islam.
Yeah.
and
In fact, according to 192, it's worse than the ones who are doing the active fighting.
Yes,
but
the killing.
I have to say that women have double fitna.
Yes.
Atheist women are double in fitna.
Yes.
Because
Yes,
they are fitna and they're religious, like being non-Muslims, and they're fitna for the body, because
Yes,
all men
because-
cannot control themselves.
Yes.
Something as simple as watching Western cartoons that promote Western values can be seen as fitna.
Yes.
Yes. That's why
SpongeBob,
they.
big fitna.
Right.
Yes.
SpongeBob is definitely.
And as Mubarak said, a walking woman without the whole garbage bag and the veil and everything else is fitna. Because it will arouse the sensations of the manly man and makes them do bad stuff. And what the fuck, yeah.
Yeah, but it makes you look like a nice wrapped up candy.
Yeah. Yeah, the candy one.
The candy one. Okay, so 192, 193 is precisely that. وَقَاتِلُوهُمْ, like active combat against them, so that there wouldn't be a fitna. There wouldn't be disagreement.
Yeah, so it said in 193, fight them until there is no more persecution and worship is devoted to God. So not believing is persecuting the believers.
How dare you persecute a
Yes.
believer by not accepting their bullshit?
Well,
Actually,
there.
Again, there's so much projection. The persecutors are the ones being persecuted, and
Yes.
we being persecuted for our disbelief are the ones taking the action of not believing. Everything is shifting the burden of proof. Everything is a projection. They want to switch everything around. I don't get this, where the lack of belief becomes a belief, where a lack of religion becomes religion, and where the common argument that creation is scientific and evolution is religious. That somehow the scientists are the ones who believe on faith, and the ones who believe on faith don't have faith that they actually have evidence that they can't show because it's secret and hidden.
Yeah, we are terrible people.
Religion,
kind of
the best way to gaslight.
What's kind of funny is these verses take place at a time where so after Muhammad moved to Medina, the Meccans were kind of like, okay, finally we're rid of him, and we're not going to bother him anymore. But then Muhammad decided that we're going to attack the caravans because some of the Muslims who came to Medina, their property was still in Mecca, so they wanted to get money back somehow. And the way to do that was to attack the Meccan caravans and get money from them. So I think they attacked 11 caravans. And during one of the attacks, they attacked on the last day of the sacred month, I think it was. And there was some dispute among the Muslims, like, should we attack them or should we not attack? But they ended up attacking either way. But then they went to Muhammad and asked him if that was okay. And he said the evil that they were committing was way more evil than was worse than you fighting them during the sacred month, so it was okay.
Yeah.
Sedition.
Yeah. So
Fitna, sedition. Yes.
yeah, it is.
Sedition.
We got a
And
comment.
as women, it's seduction.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, we are going to come to a verse which actually dissects this problem of fighting during the holy months.
Before we get to that, we got a couple questions I want to read out to you.
Yep.
So Prophet Muhammad says, if it's abrogated by 9:5, does that mean that you can fight them during the holy months?
Yeah.
Yes, if they attack us.
Yeah.
Okay. And then we got another comment. Speaking of this verse, my translations don't say stopping believing, but stopping being idolaters and stop attributing other beings to God.
Stopping disbelieving, but yeah.
And this attributing other beings to God, I believe, is a criticism of Christianity.
More
Or
or less,
anything
yes.
else, paganism,
Yeah.
Judaism,
Paganism and Christianity.
anything that don't say Allah as Allah in Arabic. That's yeah.
Oh, and
But-
I forgot to read that was Anton Gomez. That was in a super chat of 50 Mexican pesos. Thank you very much for that.
That's why we say if you do not speak Arabic and able to read the Quran itself, read multiple translation and versions, because every time you read the Quran in a different language, someone is already interpreting it. So you need the multiple sources to at least to come closer to a common ground.
Like the word fitna. Wait,
Right.
the
Yes,
word fitna
and-
means seduction, sedition, means amazing, means fascination. It has several meanings.
Yeah, another word that in 191 it said ثقفتموهم. That means that implies actually kind of putting ambushes against them. So it's not just like, oh, wherever you find them, like you're walking down the street, you find the guy you
Hunt
don't like. So
Hunt
so
them.
you are hunting them. You are making plans.
Literally.
Like we're gonna stay here. They're gonna be here by noon. Blah blah blah. So it's like it's not just an accident.
Yeah, the word thaqafa, actually, which is the root of this, right, is the knowledge, the book knowledge of things, right? If somebody is knowledgeable in Arabic, they'll say muthaqaf, right?
Sophisticated.
Right. He's learned. He knows stuff. He's like, so if you know where they are and what they are up to, you can go and kill them.
Ambush them and kill them.
Yeah.
So they don't have to be openly hostile to you. They just have to disagree with you. And if you find out where they are, you can let them have it. Okay, so 195, actually.
Spend in God's cause. Do not contribute to your destination with your own hands, but do good, for God loves those who do good.
What do you think the funny thing that stopped me in this verse is?
Spend in God's cause?
No, because that's pretty much every third verse in the Quran. Allah needs money.
Yeah.
But
Surprising. The
they say-
Almighty.
can't handle money though. Is that
Yeah.
the George Carlin joke? Remember?
Yep.
Okay, no. ولا تلقوا بأيديكم إلى التهلكة. What this means is, do not throw your hands into oblivion. Okay, let's read this again. Do not commit suicide by your own hands.
Oh, is that what that is?
I think that's what it is. I could be wrong.
There's
He's
yeah,
quite right. Yeah.
yeah, we have another translation.
Oh,
It
yes,
means
there.
don't be a pagan or an atheist or an infidel, because you're literally putting yourself in hell. You're doing this for yourself, to yourself.
Okay.
Also, what's funny is in this verse, when it talks about spending, it's not talking about giving to charity. It's talking about spending for war, like against the infidels.
Right. So do not throw your hands, which is your hands, like is what this is you are, right? Into destruction, as the translation says. So don't destroy yourself with your own hands. Am I interpreting this wrong as suicide?
That's how it said literally, but you could
I don't
take it
understand.
the other way, that you don't have to spend all your money on that. Kind of, if you keep some
Or
money
it
to
makes,
yourself.
and some people might take it as like, pay money for the fighters and don't go fight and be killed. Just pay money.
I'm trying to remember what they call it. It's is it the widow giver or something like this, when someone basically measure what they need in life and then just give the rest to the church or to the religion or to Sabilillah or whatever. So it's like, do not restrict yourself to a point where you're gonna kill yourself. Um, so yeah, it does imply do not kill yourself, but at the same time, it could imply that do not spend all your money. So if you are getting paid, let's say, I don't know, $1,000 a month, then you don't spend the whole thing. Maybe spend half of it, but do not spend the whole thing.
Only the quarter of the tenth.
That's zakah. It's not
That-
sepiradlah. It's different.
Okay. Okay.
And then
So
5% for Muhammad and Ali Muhammad.
right.
I don't
good.
understand why we're discussing possible interpretations if the Bible is so, or excuse me, the Quran is so explicitly clear.
Because it
It's
isn't.
not. It's not.
Because it
Especially this,
is.
the
Come
problem
on.
in this verse is it's not clear, and you can translate it and interpret it as you like. It's not relevant to each other. Pay money to God. Don't throw yourself to death and be good. What the fuck? What doesn't make sense? The one five or 7 8 words doesn't make sense with each other. That's the problem with the Quran.
Yep. Anyways, this is an interesting verse. You should think about it, whether it does what I think it does, and we kind of more or less agreed that it might do that. Anyways, let's move on to the next one, 196.
Yay, Mubarak,
It's
your area.
it's a long one. It's about al-Hajj, which is once in a lifetime pilgrimage. The Umrah, which is a small Hajj that you can do every year and would erase your sin for that year.
Why is it that some of the verses are like, you might have one sentence that's divided into 3 different numbered verses, and this one is an entire paragraph?
Yeah, it's a doozy. This is the size of a small surah in the Meccan section.
Yes.
It just
Yes.
sits there and it's a chunky.
And the bigger the verse is, the more emphasis on it. So if you make the verse, psychology wise, if you make the verse bigger, so you emphasize that Hajj and Umrah is essential. You're emphasizing it. Kill people, okay, but go as pagans and go around in the middle of the fucking heat, around the rock, and that's important in life.
Yeah. So, do we want to dig into this long one, or I'll just give you a redux here, which says, And when to shave your head, now you're supposed to make an animal offering, and
Yeah.
you're not supposed to shave your head until the animal offering has been offered. Okay, so
Blood
this is
sacrifice.
the animal sacrifice. Yeah, it's supposed to be a goat or a cow or a camel or something bigger. And what to do if you can't finish the 10-day procedure of the Hajj, like you got sick and you just can't finish it. It also codified in here what you should do. You need to fast 3 days if you can't finish the Hajj,
Or pay money or
or
go
pay,
and
right, sadaqah. So
yeah. Or
donate it.
nusuk. Which one
Yeah,
is
so
both?
this sadaqah that is being spoken here of in these verse types is actually a specified thing, and we're going to find out later what it is, right?
Yeah.
This is a specified amount of food that you're supposed to give. It's not an arbitrary sadaqah, right? It's not just an arbitrary donation. It actually is specified how many portions of food it should be. Okay? So there is not much here unless you want to do the Hajj, and I don't think any of us will be doing that any soon.
No, I just want to say that it's just a reminder that Arab used to do this thing, the Hajj, before Islam. And the fact that Muhammad is trying to standardize it, so basically give them like, let's do the whole thing. Okay, everyone, we're gonna agree on doing this because there were different tradition in different tribes that they will do different things. Like one of the tribe, the Qurayshi tribe, is the ones they will not go out of Mecca. They will not leave Mecca during the Hajj, even though that some of the Hajj happens a little bit outside of Mecca. And again, in 189 goes back there, and it talks about do not go into the houses from the back doors. So there is different things that people used to do, kind of traditions connected to what you do after the Hajj. So, and he's telling people basically that okay, you're gonna do this, you're gonna do this, you're not gonna cut your hair until you give that you sacrifice. If you cannot sacrifice, you could fast. So basically it's there is stuff that he's trying to make it clear for people, so it's like one thing doing together rather than multiple things. And I want to say one thing about al hajj. There is a tradition of the men have to wear something special, the haram, the white cloth that they always have to wear during the Hajj. The same cloth or similar cloth, white cloth is that they have to wear, the Abyssinian Ethiopian Christian wear the
Yes.
same stuff going to their pilgrimage, their yearly pilgrimage. You could look them up. It's the same thing. It's a white cloth on top and a white robes, and it's
It's not from
similar.
Arab tradition. This class
It
in the Hajj is not from the Arab tradition.
it is 100% a Christian tradition. It's not purely Islamic. It is a Christian tradition older than the
No, I'm not
Muslim
talking
tradition.
about the religion itself. I'm talking about the whole class is not the wardrobe of Arabs, not because every Arab country have its own traditional wardrobe.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
yes, it
no,
looks
yeah.
like Indian wardrobes or whatever, yeah, or
It
Ethiopian
it
or something.
it is a special dress or wardrobe for a special occasion. And they used to, like in older days, they used to women that used to have to wear green clothing. But now kind of the Wahhabis kind of put down that tradition of women have to wear green, which is odd because even another tradition that's supposed to wear green are the people who take care of the mosques. In general, they used to wear green. The Sunnis used to do it and the Shia, but then the Sunnis kind of stopped
Stop.
it.
And the
If
Shia
you
still.
the Shia still, if you go to their mosque, you will see people wearing green, and those are the ones that
And
take care of
it's
the
not
mosque.
wearing green, but wearing some like a cloth made bracelet of green. Green. When you see someone with this braces, green cloth bracelets, that's Shia. Yeah.
because green is the sign or the banner of the prophet, so in his house.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to jump into a couple of other questions that came up. So, Animal Mother DK, I'm guessing is the name there, says, ask Aaron from up to when he first started reading the Quran, does he think it's evil or good? Not really sure I understand the content of that question. I didn't
When
think
you
that the,
when
I
you
didn't think,
started
yeah, I didn't
thinking
think,
that Quran is evil.
yeah. Well, right there, the second verse, the one we're discussing now, which I when I started reading it, I was reading it in the order that it's printed in. And when I forget which verse it is, when God says that He is the one who closes our ears and our eyes, and He's the one who decides whether we're going to believe or not, so that He decides that we're going to do the thing that He makes us do, so that He can then punish us and put us in hell for the thing He forced us to do. Well, obviously that's evil. That's an evil God. So I think that's the answer to that question. Then there's another one. We have a super chat for 15 Canadian dollars. Says, love these series. Apparently Allah needs money to pay the rent for his heavenly mansion. Yep. And then we have another one from G Skeptic. This is £10. Good afternoon, all. Clarification. When the Quran speaks of non-believers, it's not talking about modern day atheism, because that wasn't a thing in Muhammad's time, and he couldn't have predicted it either. I kind of agree with that. It seems like everybody believed something in his world. He did read from some Greeks, but apparently not any of the atheists. And then, let's see, I think, and then we have one more super chat from Prometheus, or Prometheus, if it's spelled right. $5. Thanks for the program series, Aaron Ra. You're welcome. And then Just Somebody says, what do you think of logical fallacies in Quran? Allah says that this is a perfect book without errors. Logical fallacies are kind of the worst type of errors possible. Well, I don't know if logical fallacies are a wide range, and while they are all errors, I wouldn't say that they're all of them the worst possible. The one logical fallacy that I see that is ubiquitous throughout religion is the question-begging fallacy of circular assumptions, and that it is rife throughout the Quran. So, returning to the panel, and our next verse, I guess.
Okay, so 197 is our next verse.
Looks like another. Yes?
Yeah, and it basically says there are certain months that the Hajj needs to happen in, which we know, that's not new for us. But the important stuff in this verse, no sex, no wickedness, and no arguments.
No sex and no arguments?
No sex, no wickedness, and no argument.
Well, I mean, asking for no wickedness is already,
Well, yeah, it's a given.
Yeah, it's already going to impede on my entire afternoon, but you want simultaneously no sex and no arguments.
Exactly. There you go. So now you know it. And that applies to the Umrah, of course, because that's a mini Hajj, and all the prohibited things in a mini Hajj is just like the normal Hajj.
We have another question posted. Can we ask our panel members if they know how some high-quality online Arabic lessons that could teach one in an accelerated fashion?
Not really.
No.
Again, see, that's the thing with Arabic. Do you want to learn classical Arabic to read the Quran and understand the Quran, or do you want to learn a dialect of Arabic to be able to speak to Arabs?
If you are,
yeah, and then if you
dialect?
The easiest
because the
dialect
Lebanese can't understand the Saudi Arabians, and the Gulfian can't understand. Egyptian is the most famous because of the movies, but I'm Lebanese. Lots of words that I can't understand from the Gulf area. We have different dictionary vocabulary.
So I say, if you want, try to look into Egyptian Arabic. If you want to speak it, if you want to read the Quran and learn the Quran, find someone teach classical Arabic.
Formal Arabic.
Formal Arabic. Yeah.
If you want to look for ESL, schools, like for foreign students and some such. There are there like English as a second language schools, and they will have Arabic language teachers that will teach you English, but they know Arabic. Right.
And
That's
Arabic is a very
probably
difficult language. It's very
right. So
difficult
they
to
will
read.
be talking classical Arabic and not try to do different dialects, because that's just going to be that's
All of it.
a rabbit hole you don't want to go into.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have 200.
Oh, you mean verse 200? Okay.
Yes, 200. Yes,
All
there's
right.
a verse of 200.
When you have completed your rites, remember God as much as you remember your own fathers, or even more. There are some who pray, "Our Lord, give us good in this world," and they will have no share in the hereafter.
Yes, so
Yep.
فَاذْكُرُوا اللَّهِ كَذِكْرِكُمْ آبَاءَكُمْ. So mention God just like you mention your parents, or better, like when your parent calls you, you say, yes, yes, Father, we're coming. And you see Muslims do this, this call answering, when they go to the prayers during the Eid, and they also do it when they go to the Hajj all the way. So the airplane would be singing these words. You can tell me what those words are.
Oh, labbaik Allahumma labbaik.
Yep, those
Yeah.
ones. Yeah. So they'll all be singing this. They will be doing it in unison, because you're answering your dad's call, and that's how you do it. Okay.
I guess one of the indications that I was destined to be an atheist from an early age was, I remember when I was like somewhere between 5 and 8 years old, I guess, and my mother trying to teach me her religion. She tells me that we're supposed to love Jesus even more than our own family. And I thought, how's this guy who's not even here, who's never spoken to me, how does he matter more than the people that are involved in my life? And that like I said, is the mind of an 8-year-old child reflecting on that.
Yes. Okay.
If I may say so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
go ahead.
We used to have love for Muhammad and God drilled into us from when we were very small. For me personally, it was easier to let go of my connection to God than it was for me to let go of my connection to Muhammad. Like I felt like it's much harder for me, at least.
And
Weird.
Ali. And Ali.
And Ali, because you cannot not love Ali.
Yes. And like in Lebanon, let's say the Shia, they would
Well,
probably
with
have.
Shia all over the place.
Yes, yes. Ali is like more sacred. There's like a joke. Someone in a village in Lebanon built a mosque, and he have three round places to put two round places. Okay, and he put Allah and Ali, and people came and where's Muhammad? And he said, so I should remove Allah because Ali is before Allah, and then comes Allah, and then Muhammad. Yeah.
It's actually quite interesting that the Shia are the way they are, since Ali, being one of the very few people around Muhammad who could read and write, might have penned the original copy of the Quran, might
Yep.
well be his handwriting.
I agree, because have
Yeah.
you read Ali's poetry? He's
Well,
amazing. And
right.
some of the verses of the Quran, the one that are mukaffa and that rhymes,
Yes,
are literally the style of Ali.
right. So I'm saying a lot of the Quran is the handwriting of Ali, because Muhammad certainly didn't write it down, and
Yeah.
very few other people had, because he was he was a kid. He was learned. He could read and write, and he was kind of attached to Muhammad from early on, and he was writing down these verses. So we did have a reasonable, consistent copy on paper, and it was written by Ali. So, anyways, 201, different version of that answer to call. I don't think it's important, but it's there.
201. Others say, Our Lord, give us good in this world and in the hereafter, and protect us from the torment of the fire.
Yeah.
And some say.
Yep. 208 is my next note.
You who believe, enter wholeheartedly into submission to God, and do not follow in Satan's footsteps, for he is your sworn enemy.
Great translation. What is the name of Islam? It is the submission to the Lord.
Yes.
According even to the translation, the English one. So you who believe, enter Islam. All of you enter Islam and do not follow the footsteps of the devil. He's your enemy. Right. So if somebody wants to say that it's a religion of peace, even there it's the religion of submission. Okay. 209. Sorry, not 209. 213.
213.
Oh,
Mankind was a single community. Then God sent prophets to bring good news and warning, and with them he sent the scripture with the truth to judge between people and their disagreements. It was only those to whom it was given who disregarded or to disagreed about it after clear signs had come to them because of rivalry between them. So by his leave, God guided the believers to the truth, and they had differed about. God guides whoever he will to a straight path.
That's the
And he
beauty of this
doesn't
verse.
guide other people. He only guides some people.
Who
He's very
he wants
particular
to
about
guide,
that.
who he specifically wants to guide.
yeah. The beauty about this verse is that literally God confesses, Muhammad writes and confesses. The Quran says that people were one nation in agreement, and then we sent them prophets, different prophets, and we made people like literally split in the opinions, and then divided the whole nation.
Do you know what's remind me of this? Pledge of Allegiance. One nation undivided. Let's stick God there.
Well,
That's
somebody
exactly what
did.
happened there.
Well, somebody
Yeah.
did. Right. So
And then,
Exactly.
see, okay, now let's go back to that ayah where it says, do not have fitna. Allah started the first fitna because they all were one nation. And God
Exactly.
started the fucking fitna.
And the same thing with the black magic angels.
Yes. That they are actually Zoroastrian angels. In the
Yes.
Quran. A pagan religion in the Quran.
wow. So
Muhammad, do you
Zoroastrianism
produce
is
anything
considered-
new? No.
Zoroastrianism is considered pagan?
oh,
Yes.
definitely. Oh, they're worshiping the fire, huh?
They worship the fire. How dare them worship fire?
All right. I always thought that
Worshipping an
Zoroastrianism was like the first monotheistic religion was, and by that definition was not pagan.
It
So
is.
paganism in Islam, is worshipping any object.
Yes,
Like
and
Muhammad
if you
saw
are
them. Yeah.
if you are not from the people of the book, which already have been mentioned as the Jews, the
Torah.
Christian, and like
And-
if you don't believe in the Torah or the Bible
pagan.
in general, you're pagan. You doesn't count. Your religion is bullshit.
Yep.
Not like my bullshit. It's not. It's not. Like my religion is not bullshit because
Yeah, but it's the truth.
it's the truth. It's not bullshit. But yours is bullshit.
Yes. So 215.
215. Finding it. They ask you, prophet, what they should say, what they should give. Say, whatever you give should be for your parents, close relatives, orphans, the needy, and travelers. God is well aware of whatever good you do.
And this one is abrogated. Hee-hee. It's abrogated by 960, and actually I jumped over to 960. So these charities are meant for the poor, the needy, and those who work in the collection of them. So these are the tax collectors. وَالْمُؤَلَّفَةُ قُلُوبُهُمْ, those who you want to entice into entering Islam, so you can pay them money and they enter Islam. وَفِي الرِّقَابِ, and those who are slaves and you need to free them. Let's say they are a slave to an unbelieving master and you want to free them from their unbelieving master because he's torturing them. وَالْغَارِمِينَ, those who are in debt, and in the name of Allah, that's for jihad, and the travelers, and these are mandates from Allah, and Allah is knowledgeable and wise. So this verse actually discusses in detail what you spend the tax money on. Okay? And this one is not authoritative anymore because it's abrogated. Okay?
Yep.
All righty. So 2:16.
Yay.
Fighting is ordained for you, though you dislike it. You may dislike something although it is good for you, or like something although it is bad for you. God knows, and you do not.
There you go. All the conscientious objections are out of the window.
Yeah, but this is a verse that I hate. Okay. I think all religious people in all religions use the verses to lie on themselves. وعسى أن تكرهوا شيئا وهو خير لكم. Like you find like your friend or your son or whatever had cancer, and don't hate God. Don't be angry. God knows more. He on purpose sent your kid the cancer because he knows it's good for you. What the fuck? Why it's good for us? And etc. All the examples in the word, and people use this in every catastrophe or bad thing that happens to us. Use this verse.
They abuse
Everyone.
it, and they abuse
Yes.
it
Yes.
because this verse is about going to fight.
Yeah.
Yes, and here's a thing, a point. Muhammad is telling his followers, we have to fight the disbelievers. They're saying, no, we don't. We have our country, we have our city, we don't want to go bother them. Why do we have to go bother other people? They're doing their thing. And he's like, you don't like it, you dislike it, so God knows better than what you know. So there is some people around him telling him to just like chill down, dude. Like you don't need to do all this shit.
Yeah, and the thing is, a lot of the people who are the followers of Muhammad at this time had direct relatives in Mecca.
Yeah, and they had not just imagine you have two countries that have diplomatic, trade, economic, and more like geographic connection between each other, and decide to go to war. Like you'll end up with worse conditions to both sides.
Right?
I got
Yeah.
another question. East Fremantle says, it is said that in early times, Arabs did not add dots to certain letters in Arabic as it is written today. Did the inclusion of dots change the interpretation?
Not in any
No.
significant way.
No.
I have seen the writings without the dots, and I was just perfectly able to read the verse back correctly with the dots on them.
Okay.
It doesn't.
Because we know. Yeah, but because you understand Arabic and you have learned Arabic, like and people who don't understand Arabic, if they see the two scripts, they will not understand that they are the same scripts.
Right.
Okay, and then
The problem is not about the dots. Yeah, there used to be not dots, and some scripts were attached to each other. No space between the letters, the words.
And then I've got another question on here from G Skeptic. Speaking of logical fallacies, begging the question specifically, in religion and the Quran, time ago, Aaron was in a podcast with three Muslims on an argument that rests on this fallacy. Okay, well, I guess that was just a comment rather than a question. Sorry about that.
No problem. It's all good. So we were at 216. We are going to 217.
All right, let me find it. How long is this? Okay, here it is.
This is a doozy too.
Yeah,
This is the verse I was talking about fighting during the holy months.
Yeah, they ask you, Prophet, about fighting in the prohibited month. Say, fighting in that month is a great offense, but to bar others from God's path, to disbelieve in him, prevent access to the sacred mosque, and expel its people are still greater offenses in God's eyes. Persecution is worse than killing. They will not stop fighting you, believers, until they make you revoke your faith, if they can. If any of you can revoke your faith and die as disbelievers, your deeds will come to nothing in this world and the hereafter, and you will be inhabitants of the fire, there to remain. So we honest people don't want you to say things are true that you cannot show, that you can't show to be true. That's just stop lying, is what the disbelievers are saying. In my interpretation, and
Yes.
so you're persecuting me because I want to make believe my favorite fantasy, and so I'm going to blame you for that, and God is going to punish you, not for all the good that the previous verse has just mentioned, that God is aware of all the good things you do. None of that matters. Did you buy into the nonsense we're selling? Did you check the box? Yes, I believe, and therefore give a certain amount of your money to tithing or whatever you call it in Islam. And that's what gets you into heaven.
Yeah.
And that's it. And that's all. And there's no morality in it.
Yeah. So all the roundaboutting about fighting during the holy months, it's abrogated by 9:5. Yeah, go get them. Don't worry about it.
Also, yeah, this is the verse I was talking about, like his response to the companions when he sent them to raid the caravans during the secret months.
Yes. I'm actually have to expand my browser to get the whole verse on the page. Anyway,
And it also says that you should kill them and fight them because they won't stop until you are converted to paganism or to whatever. As people who are not Muslims, they won't stop until they made you a Muslim. So that's why you should kill them.
Well, there you go.
Mm.
So 217 is good. Let's move to the next note. It's 219, please.
They ask you, Prophet, about intoxicants and gambling. Say, there is great sin in both and some benefit for people. The sin is greater than the benefit. They ask you what they should give. Say, give what you can spare. In this way, God makes his messages clear to you so that you may reflect.
Okay, so the giving part is just trivial. We don't care about it. The interesting part is about the alcohol and the gambling, the chance games, the card games, the betting. Okay, and people were doing that even at this point in time. And this verse does nothing to stop it. They say, well, it's bad, but there is good things in it. And, I will look at you funny if you do it.
This verse was written by a drunk man. It's literally drink. It's literally, yes, you should drink. No, you shouldn't drink. It's good, but it's bad. I don't know. Just whatever. It's drunk. He was literally drunk.
So you're saying Ali was drunk.
Yes. Like he has poetry about khamr and the benefits and the beauty of khamr, the booze.
It brings
Yeah.
out
Who is Ali?
Ali is that's complicated.
It's complicated.
Okay.
Yeah, he's the cousin of Muhammad, and the Shia problem with the Shia and the Sunni problem is one thing only. When Muhammad died, there's a hadith that said Muhammad said that Umar should be the next in kin, like the next in line, the carrier of my message. And the Shia said, he said that Ali should be the carrier of my message. And that's the conflict, because Shia says that Ali should be the carrier because his cousin, he married his daughter, and the descendants of the Muhammad are Ali's kids. And the Sunni says no, it was Umar. So
Not
Ali, he was
Umar,
his
Abu
cousin,
Bakr.
the first Abu Bakr, yes, the first Muslim guy, and he was literally from he was very young, and he stuck with him all for all his life, Muhammad, and he was his cousin.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and okay. Here's another Arabic tradition. There's a tradition in Arab tribes when they have a help, when they are united in a federation, that they will elect their leader.
Yeah.
So it is. So what happened after Muhammad died? He didn't have any sons. Both of them, or they died, and they were like, okay, who should we elect? The people who are from Medina originally wanted to elect someone from Medina, and at that time the people from Mecca that lived in Medina, which was the center of the power, they did not have the number to support people from Mecca. So Abu Bakr, Umar were there arguing with the people from Medina to elect someone from the Mecca side, the Muhajirun, um, and Ali as the cousin and basically the male heir of Muhammad. He was
Son-in-law.
taking care, yeah, his son-in-law too. He was taking care of the funeral and all basically what you take care of when someone in your family die, and you are the one responsible to take care of the stuff. Who's going there, who's gonna come and visit, blah blah blah, all those things. He was doing that. So while the government thing, that the control of the getting settled down, Ali was busy, and then he got sick afterward. And in
And he
the
was young.
yeah,
He was young.
the Sunni, I think by that time he's an adult, and like because supposedly he become a Muslim when he's 7, or like a young kid, and by the time Muhammad died 23 years later, so he might be in his 30
Yeah,
sometime
but
there.
he's younger than the others,
Oh yeah,
his
it's younger
friends,
than
Sahaba.
the other guys. Yes, yes. Um, so what happened is the Sunnis says that they after Ali was not sick and got better, feeling better, came out and said, "Yeah, I should have been there, but what you did was good, and I'm okay with it." The Shia story is different. The Shia story says that Abu Bakr sent Umar and 2 other guys, and they broke the door, pushed Fatima, which is the daughter of Muhammad, on the floor, broke her rib, made her
No, no, no,
miscarriage, her
no,
kid,
no. Don't say
pulled
that. No, no,
Muhammad.
no, no, no.
Yes,
The
they
sh- no,
pulled Ali from under the bed. That's the story.
no,
Yes,
no, no.
and
I'm
then
Shia. No,
pulled
because
him all the way to Abu Bakr. You could read the story from the
yeah,
Shia.
yeah, yeah.
It's
Wait,
different.
wait. It depends which Shia also. Let's say this. Let's wait a second. The argument is not about Abu Bakr, because the Shia doesn't say bad things about Abu Bakr or Umar at all. But Muawiyah and Yazid, yes, not Abu Bakr and Umar. The thing is that they say why Ali should be the Imam, the descendant, the tribe leader, whatever, because Muhammad on his deathbed, he said a huge, if we have, it's in Arabic, هذا علي مولاه ولي من ولاه وعادي من عاداه. So he literally بايع Ali. He literally said to Ali, you are gonna be the leader. Ali was young, and and he was younger than the others, and he got sick and blah blah blah. Uh, the story about he being shot or whatever, it's not about Abu Bakr and Umar. It's about Muawiyah and Yazid. That's Fatima's rib and blah blah. Ironically, what my problem with Shia is one thing. Ali himself agreed to be the fourth Khalifa. What? Why are we fighting for him to be the first one? He agreed. He became the fourth Khalifa. He
Okay,
agreed.
I I will not argue with you about that thing, but you could look it up. The Kasr al-Dhilla and Fatima dying is way before. It's at that time before even Muawiyah was a leader in Asham.
I will look it up.
Yeah,
Okay.
just
Back
so
to
we
the
can
verse.
keep going with the episode. But yes, he is the main disagreement of the
Okay.
between
So
Sunnis and Shias.
so let's carry on with 219. We ended up in a place, hey?
Yeah.
Yes,
This is the depth and convolutedness of the disagreement between Shiite and Muslims. Even our atheist panel has the time to argue about it.
It's about
So,
the infos, the truth. I'm not
because
defending.
yeah, we're fine. Right? The discussion was actually very invigorating and useful at the same time. Um,
you.
so, for the line of abrogations, for those people who say, well, the abrogations don't matter and yada yada, this is the verse I bring up. And the verses that abrogate this one in sequence, which is 443, 590, and 9103. Okay? And it step by step, it completely arrived in 9103 to completely prohibiting the alcohol and the gambling. Every Muslim today do not do alcohol at all. So they know about
Wait.
the abrogation. They know
Every Muslim today does not do alcohol at all.
of course
every
Every real Muslim.
Every real Muslim.
I know Muslims who do alcohol, so it's yeah.
Okay.
Human nature remains human and remains nature. But if you ask a Muslim, do you drink alcohol? He will tell you that he doesn't, and he would not deal in it at all.
So ask about meth.
Well, it is an intoxicant if you like to be strict about it. But
I'm
this
just saying
verse,
that people don't often admit to doing meth either.
yes.
So I got another question I want to ask. I don't get this question. The redemption. Can you ask them to tell me where exactly is Yajuj, Majuj, iron, copper, alloy, high wall? I do not understand that question.
Okay. This is mythology, and I don't think we need to go into it.
It's in Sūrah Kaf.
Yeah. Just
Okay.
leave it for now. Just leave it for now. We will get to it when we get to it. And I don't think it's Gog and Magog, if that's the story you're looking for. It's in the Quran.
Okay. And then another question, when looking at, for an example, the Chinese dynasty, which evolved over thousands of years, is it worth it to look at religion in a bad way or just let it evolve and see what happens? Let me see if I can understand that question. Is it worth it to look at religion in a bad way? When you're going to evaluate something, you're going to have to be critical, right? I mean, and you can be critical of something and then decide that it's okay after a critical evaluation. What I get personally from religion is that it's just the lies of people who want to make believe something, and they say that it's true without any evidence that it's true. So that's what a lie is, right? When you claim facts that are not facts and you pretend to know things you don't know, those are both lies. And so what good can come from the misinformation of just the blind leading the blind, quite literally here?
Yeah. To the question, since I regard religions to be fictions, just like Shakespeare, religions happen to be harmful fictions. These are fictions that drive people into committing atrocities, unlike the works of Shakespeare, which simply don't. And there are two main differences here. One of them is Shakespeare never claimed to have written down instructions from God that people need to follow. He simply wrote a play that people could enjoy if they wanted to. and religions claim that pedestal to them, that this is words from God or a higher authority, and you should follow it. And when they do, bad things inevitably happen. So, harmful fiction?
Yeah. Harmful fiction that tells you to go out and kill people because they don't believe you.
We spent an hour reading verses here that says go kill them. Okay, so the line of abrogation starting with this verse is really good. It will demonstrate how closely do Muslims in general follow the rules of abrogation, and this is likely one of the best examples in the Quran that you can bring up for abrogation and for the prohibition of alcohol. Okay, next verse is 220.
On this world and the next. That's the verse. No, they ask you about the property of orphans. It is good to set things right for them. If you combine their affairs with yours, remember they are your brothers and sisters. God knows who spoil things and those who improve them. Had he so willed, he could have made you vulnerable too. He is mighty and wise. Why would they start this verse in the middle of the previous sentence?
Ali dropped his pen and missed a piece. There you go. He's going to get a lot of flack today. Okay, so this, in general, this is a good verse. Are we in agreement here? Take care of the orphans, treat them like your brothers. Allah will figure out which ones are the good ones and which ones are the bad ones. I think this is a positive verse. I think if there were many of these in the Quran, it would be a much better religion, but there aren't.
That's one of the things that, again, Islam is connected so much to Muhammad and his experiences in his life, because he grew up as an orphan, and some people treated him well and some didn't. So he's like, everyone treat orphans well.
Yeah, I mean, you can't divorce this from Muhammad's personal human condition, being an orphan and whatnot. But somehow it inhibited him from doing positive things in other regions of I don't know. It's just, anyways. So 221.
221.
221.
Do not marry idolatresses until they believe. A believing slave woman is certainly better than an idolatress, even though she may please you. And do not give your women in marriage to idolaters until they believe. A believing slave is certainly better than an idolater, even though he may please you. Such people call you to the fire, while God calls you to the garden and forgiveness by his leave. He makes his messages clear to people so that they bear him in mind. Except that he doesn't. Then the only thing is that here's a list of a very short list of unsupported assertions, and you are to believe them or we will kill you. And worse, if we don't manage to kill you, we were going to threaten you with a fate worse than death. You believe our unsupported assertions or else. And that's somehow moral.
Yeah. Do note the ranking between an atheist woman and a believing slave woman.
Yeah. Do note that they're still till now talking that there are slave women and slave men. So slavery is...
It's a thing.
It's a thing in Islam. Yep.
Right. And also slave men.
Yeah.
And believing men, that unbelieving free men and believing slave men being better. So,
because slaves are less human.
Right. It's not like don't do slavery, because you could have ended it right there and right then.
Yeah, being an unbeliever is immoral, but being a slave is okay.
Yeah.
And so this verse have, of course, sexism, of course, because we don't matter. and racism and immorality and everything bad in this verse. And the thing about this verse, we don't have a say on it. Just don't screw the atheist women or the infidels. Don't screw them. Don't let them, because we don't just machines waiting for to be screwed. Yeah, this
Yes,
is a fucked up verse. Yeah.
just when we had a good verse before it.
Well, I missed that. I came on the right verse.
Yes, I know.
Yeah.
So the next one is the best verse in this surah. 2.
Yeah.
It's all
Mhm.
twos. It's all the twos.
Okay.
You can take it away, Dan.
Thank you.
This is all
Yeah,
yours.
we talked about it. We talked about it before, because menstruation is harmful, and stay away from women in menstruation, and don't touch them. Don't touch them until they purify themselves, and then you can touch them. Yeah. And God likes the people who I don't know, tawabun, and likes the people who are pure. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, okay.
Who are repentant.
Repentance, yes.
Yes.
We
Because
got to,
menstruation is in my hand. So I have to
yeah,
repent. God putting me menstruation in, I don't know. I don't understand how I can repent having a menstruation.
I don't think the repenting part is actually germane to what the rest of the verse is saying.
I think it is because فأتوهن من حيث أمركم الله إن الله يحب التوابين.
Right. And where
And
is
menstruation is harm.
right? So
It's not
فَأْتُوهُنَّ
pure.
مِنْ حَيْثُ أَمَرَكُمُ اللَّهُ. Where is that? We're gonna find it out.
Not our asses.
Right.
I got another question, seemingly a little bit irrelevant to what we're talking about right now, I'll go ahead and ask it. Question for our panel members: is it true that there are parts of hell where it is freezing cold?
No.
I don't know. I haven't been there before.
Haven't
I've
read
heard
about
about
it.
that, but I don't know
Yeah.
for sure.
The only description the Quran gives is the fire. So I'm going to say no. Or the only one I've seen so far.
Okay, and there is a hadith that talks about that hell came and complained to Allah and told him that I am burning myself. I don't have any fuel yet. The people have not entered me yet to burn them, so I'm burning myself out. He said, "Okay, I'm gonna give you some relief. So whenever you get the hottest day in the summer and the coldest day in the winter, those are from hell." That's just a hadith. We don't know if there is a really cold place in hell or not.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think it just someone saying, "For fuck's sakes, this is cold." So basically, that's it.
So regarding menstruation, there is a hadith that, if you don't mind, I'll read out. It says, "Once Allah's messenger went out to offer prayer. He passed by a woman and said, 'O woman, give alms, as I have seen that the majority of the dwellers of hellfire were you women.' The woman said, 'Why is it so, O Prophet?' And he replied, 'You curse frequently and are ungrateful to your husbands. I have not seen anyone more deficient in intelligence and religion than you.
Wow.
A cautious, sensible man could be led astray by some of you.' The woman asked, 'O Prophet, what is deficient in our intelligence and religion?' He said, Is not the evidence of two women equal to the witness of one man?' They replied in the affirmative. He said, 'This is the deficiency in her intelligence.' And then he said, Isn't it true that a woman can neither pray nor fast during her menses?' The woman replied, 'Yes.' He said, 'This is the deficiency in her religion.'
And they said Islam is the only religion that gave women their rights and equality to women. Fuck
One
Islam.
one of my favorite hadiths is the one where Muhammad says, "If I would have asked any human being to prostrate to another human being, I would have told wives to prostrate to their men, to their husbands." So you're not just supposed to be good wife. You're supposed to worship your men. That's the feminist Islam for you. That's
And we
the
are
footnote.
literally stupid.
Yeah.
Literally stupid. And we are blamed if, let's say, Islam and God and all this is the truth. God is blaming us for biologically creating us with menstruation cycle and saying that we're not pure and we're dirty and we bring harm because we have a menstruation cycle. So yes, Islam is great.
Yepers, and that drops us one verse down the line to 2:223.
Yep. Again.
Your wives are your fields. So go into your fields, whichever way you like. Didn't it earlier say that you shouldn't go into a house by the back door? Okay, well, never mind.
It didn't say that. It says you
We have
can
a
go
verse
in
for
any
that,
way
by the
you
way.
want. This verse.
Yeah, but it's abrogated. It's abrogated in
Is
Nisa.
Is
Yes.
Is
ولا
it?
تدخلنها في ظهورهن.
It's,
Yes,
it's
yes.
not.
I've
It's
read
not.
it.
Okay, let's see. But
Okay.
No, not the verse. The thing that Aaron said.
Yeah,
Oh.
it's semi-abrogated because you still can use, how to say it, like something like you could basically have any
Rape your wife.
sexual activity with your wife, except anal.
Except doggy
it's
style.
only abrogated if your understanding of anna is only when, because then you shouldn't be doing the plowing when your wife is menstruating. Other than that, you can do your plowing field any way and any time you want.
Yeah,
This
but
verse
it's
single-handedly negate the
it's also
possibility of marital rape.
exactly that's what I'm
The
saying.
plowing
This is
field doesn't get to say.
uh, this is really it's saying that you can literally go and screw with your wife whenever and however you want. It's not doesn't ask about her because it's just a field. It's an object and you can do whatever you want to it, whenever you want to it.
Yes.
So yeah, it's literally marital rape.
Yeah. This is the verse. This is why there are no marital rape in any Islamic country, and there won't be any soon. This is a terrible, terrible verse. If
Yep.
there is a verse that will make you sit down and reject this faith, this should be it.
It did. This is one of them. A huge part of them.
Isn't there like a hadith or something that says angels will curse a woman in her sleep while she's sleeping if she refuses the husband or something like that? I forgot.
Yeah. The plowing field doesn't get to say no.
Yeah.
Yes,
It's in there.
it is. Well, we're going to Nisa, Surah Nisa, and then we'll have more of this.
Oh, we'll have
Yeah.
some.
beautiful-
Yeah. And Nisa is
Beautiful.
chock full of beauties too, but
Yes.
this one came up first, so there we go.
Yeah.
Anyways, 226 is my next note.
For those who swear that they will not approach their wives, there shall be a waiting period of 4 months. If they go back, remember God will be most forgiving and merciful.
Of course. Now, this is the beginning of a section that talks about divorce. In Islam, the man can divorce his wife 3 times, and then it is final. So if he just divorces her once, then he has to stay away from her for 4 months before he can get her back again for plowing purposes.
Even the process of divorce is amazing. Like for a man, you just have to say you're done.
Yeah.
For a woman, good luck to you if you're in a Muslim country. Good luck.
Well, you need to get the judge for that. But
Yeah.
and here's the but. It has been a long tradition that people would divorce their women in one seat, in one sentence. I'll divorce you 3 times, right? And that makes it final immediately. Am I frozen? No?
I don't think so.
Okay. So
No, wait,
basic.
your camera is frozen.
Oh, okay. Is it any better
No,
now?
you're unfrozen again. Never mind.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, good. So the point is the triple talaq is not in the Quran. It is something that people just did, and they didn't do anything about it for 1400 years. It's becoming an extensive problem now because people just triple divorce their wives, and now their marriage is ruined, right? And there are some discussions in the Islamic world about banning triple talaq because it's not really useful. But this is a step from the first and the second divorces, and then we'll come to the rest of them as we move in.
Yeah.
That's the point of the triple talaq at one session, because what's in the Quran is talking about separation for a period of time and coming back, separation and coming back. Well, a lot of people, that's a one of the especially in Sunni fiqh, there is a disagreement in fiqh about if you say like I divorce you, I divorce you, I divorce you, does it actually count as one or does it count as three? Some fuqaha will say it's three, some fuqaha will say it's one.
Right.
And in Shia, because why not?
Why not?
Why not? If you say it 1,000,000,000 cotillion times, you will never be divorced. The only way that you can get divorced is the way you get married. You have to go to the sheikh and get divorced, because they say if you're angry or whatever, because they're which is good. This is good, by the way. Their alibi: if you're angry or you had a fight and you say you're divorced, and then you have to go and remarry it and blah blah blah. In Shia, saying the words will not get you divorced. You have to go to the sheikh and get you and divorce on paper like you were married on paper.
Yep. So 2 to 7, if they decide to stay divorced, then they're divorced. This is kind of like a non sequitur. So after the first divorce and the 4 month separation, if they decide that now we don't like each other, then the divorce is finalized, right?
Yes, because of
So-
pregnancy. Because
Right.
back then there was no DNA.
No, and they couldn't have pregnancy tests because
Now we have, and we still have 4 months.
right, because
Yep.
why make a change when you
And we
can't
have
be
to
a
stay
religion?
fucking indoors for 4 months.
When
No
you
one can
can
see us. No
right.
one, we can't. Yeah, yeah. It's fucked up. It's fucked up. Go
So
ahead, go ahead.
228
Yeah.
has a couple of nuggets for you, Diana, definitely.
I know. I've
Yeah.
read it.
You want to have this verse?
I only have it in Arabic. Read it in English, and I'll
Okay,
from
so
there.
divorced women must wait for 3 months periods, three monthly periods before remarrying. And if they really believe in God in the last day, it is not lawful for them to conceal that God has, well, if she's pregnant, she can't conceal that. Other than that, they can go back to their husband after their periods have done,
Yeah.
provided they wish to put things back together again.
Yes. But
Um,
practically, and in practice, first of all, we are more open-minded. But in the Islam, if you get divorced, you can't go out. Some sects, you can't go out from your home for 3 months. You can't see anyone except like your dad and your siblings and your mom. You can't do anything. You can't go even to the supermarket. You have to stay because maybe someone will like blow sperms in the air and you get pregnant from another man. I don't know why, but you have no one can see you except your direct family for 3 months. And even if you don't want to come back to your husband because he's the leader, he can go and get you back before the 3 months. After 3 months, you can decide. But before the 3 months, you just go to the sheikh and you're his wife again.
Right, right. Um, Obviously, it also holds that if they decide to stay separated, then they separate. But this piece of the verse, they were وَلِلرِّجَالِ عَلَيْهُنَّ دَرَجَةٌ. What the heck?
Yes.
Like, why?
Because it says it's not that the woman will go back to the man, it's the man will retrieve the woman.
Exactly.
Oh, they're plowing field. Okay, good.
Their plowing field. Again, remember, the plowing field is the man gonna retrieve his his ownership of the woman. Because the reason in this ayah is because the man not just owning the woman, he owns the woman and the kid that's supposed to come in
Of
because now
course.
she's pregnant.
You,
Yeah.
you do
So-
you do realize that in case of a divorce, that child goes back to the father. She doesn't get to have it.
We will come to it. We will come to it.
Yeah, we will.
It's next page.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
I
Oh,
just
go.
noticed a
Next verse.
question. I just noticed
Yeah.
a question in the chat that I want to deal with. Somebody says that I'm Muslim, so what is this all about? Okay, I am not Muslim. I don't know Arabic. I was raised in the West. I don't know anything about that culture or religion. So, rather than just read the Quran, I noted that when you compare different translations of it, then you get very many different interpretations. Some of them political. So the best way to understand the Quran for me, I realize that if I were to read, if I was raised in, say, Punjab, India, and I might be aware of Muslims, I might be aware of Sikhs and a number of other, a number of other different religions. But if I had never heard of Christianity, and I read the Bible, I would never put together that the serpent was supposed to be Satan, for example, because that's not in there anywhere. Not only does the Bible not say that, it doesn't even allow that, but that is the common interpretation. So if I want to know the interpretation, I have to speak to people who were raised in Islam and who know how verses are supposed to be interpreted. I need to know, because all the different translations, I compare different translations and they have different meanings, and sometimes it's important that the differences. So I have to talk to people who are fluent in Arabic and who know the Islamic interpretations to tell me what I got wrong or right in what I've written from my own analysis and comparisons of the Quran. So that's what this is all about. This is Quran lessons for the infidel. I have people raised in Islam who speak Arabic and can tell me the proper understanding of what the Quran actually says, not the apologetics of what we wish it meant, but what it actually says. All right. We may continue. I'm sorry for that interruption.
Yes, this is like driving slow in the parking lot and enjoying the speed bumps one by one.
229.
Yes, 229. You wanna have a comment on that? Because I only have 230.
Divorce can happen twice. Okay, you're asking Diana.
That's
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. It doesn't matter. It's the same as the verse before it and
Yes,
after
it is just the second divorce. So you
Yeah.
got the first divorce, it's explained there. This is the second divorce. That's why I skipped it. There's nothing new here. It's the second divorce. Still
Yes.
not final. They can still finalize it. Yada yada. The doozies on the next one. 230.
If a husband re-divorces his wife after the second divorce, she will not be lawful for him until she has taken another husband. If that one divorces her, there will be no blame if she and the first husband return to one another, provided they feel that they can keep within the bounds set by God. These are God's bounds, which he makes clear for those who know.
I wish you understand Arabic. I'll translate it literally. If the man divorced the woman for the third time, he
Finally.
can't final divorce. He can't she's not for him anymore. She doesn't belong to him anymore until after she screws another husband, and then he divorced her. Then the first man who married her shall go and screw her. That's the verse.
I like the way you put it so poetically and romantically.
Yeah, كلمة. It's nikah. Nikah means literally fuck.
And,
It's Arabic.
Literally.
It is.
it does. It
I'm
does.
not kidding.
Go
And
ahead.
this verse started a whole thing of the muhallal,
Yes.
which is it.
لابد أن أدخل بها.
Yeah, there is like a long history of people getting divorced, especially rich people getting divorced multiple times, and then they will end up with a third divorce. Now they cannot get remarried again, so they will get a guy. They will pay money for this guy. Usually, this guy is either a worker or a servant or someone who's a lower class. They will give him money, marry this lady on the promise that he have to divorce her.
The next
And
day.
the next day. So they will go supposedly consummate the marriage that night, and then they have to divorce the next day. And there was one famous play, Arabic play, and it's the whole story is about this
It's about
guy.
this.
Yeah. So and it's very well known concept that that job the man that does, they have a name for it. The muhallil,
Muhallil.
taste and muhallil, they call it. The kind of, they call it the billy goat, the one that relieves, basically take off the burdens. And it's not totally haram, but at the same time it's not totally halal. It's somewhere in the middle there, in the gray, because the Quran and the Hadith doesn't talk about it, so it's like, man, we don't know.
They
There are a lot
say
of people
it's
who like don't like.
If
They
if
say
you're gonna
it's a punishment for men for divorcing the woman 3 times. So they will punish him by letting his property, his wife, be screwed by another man. I'm not kidding. That's the
Yeah,
that's
no,
the
no.
reason.
if you're
It's
gonna take
laughable.
a
It's not.
Yeah, that's the best things. Like, I make the mistake, but you have to pay.
Yeah. I
I
don't think she's gonna pay much. In this case only, I think she has the privilege to trying someone else because he can. She
I
can't. Tell someone.
I think that's the main point. Is like, remember, she might have just stick with that third guy or the second guy that you brought and tell you to go fuck off.
So
Yeah.
what happens in this case when the muhallil doesn't divorce the woman?
That's when the problem starts, and that's where the story of that play goes on.
Oh, because if you're gonna take a fatwa from an atheist, this is so obviously haram, right? Like
It is.
if you
Yeah.
are only going to marry a woman for the express intent of divorcing her the next day, that
For
marriage
me.
is invalid.
Well, if you consummate your marriage, it's valid because that's what the verse said. We have a fatwa. One imam made one fatwa long time ago in Shia that because of the men were like angry, how can we do this? Another man will touch our property, sorry, our wives. So this this sheikh said that we find a solution, and I'm not kidding. This is a fatwa. This is a literally a rule, a new rule, that the woman can go uh, naked to the sea, okay, to the ocean with high waves, and if the waves touched her down there like 2 3 times, then it's as if she married another man and she can go back to her husband. And yeah, yeah.
Oh boy.
I'm not kidding. Yeah.
Okay. Do they have crabs? Do they have
and this
crabs
sheikh
in the
actually
beach?
this sheikh divorced his wife 3 times, and I think he made this fatwa for him because he don't want anyone to touch his property.
Okay, so
Wow.
Noxum Volpenhair just gave us £2 as a tip for Diana's ironclad Arabic romance.
There you go.
I'm just saying the truth.
So
Everyone knows nikah means fuck. It doesn't mean marriage. It
right,
means fuck.
it does
Yeah.
mean that, right? So I am jumping to 233, skipping all the other parts about the divorce part. Are you okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay, so there is nothing very interesting in these verses, but let's go to 233. Breastfeeding is 2 years long if you're doing it, otherwise, you're doing it un-Islamically. This is in the Quran, you know. You can have wet nurses too. Is there anything I'm missing in this long verse? I don't think I'm missing anything significant here.
Okay, here's kind of a quick thing. The reason it's the reason it's mentioned is because we just said if the woman is pregnant and they divorce, she have to breastfeed the kid for 2 years. Otherwise, the men have to find someone else to breastfeed, which means more cost, child support. So that's the only kind of the main reason of it. Because if you go on the second part of that ayah, talks an arad istarda'an. So if they wanted to find someone else, he have to pay for it. It's not if she cannot pay for if she cannot breastfeed the baby or take care of the baby, he have to pay for it. That's the only thing in that ayah that I want to say.
Okay. Okay, so 234. 234.
If any of you die and leave widows, the widows should wait for 4 months and 10 nights before remarrying. When they have completed this set time, he will not be blamed for anything they may reasonably choose to do with themselves.
Oh,
I'm going to need some clarification on that.
so
God is fully aware of what you do.
of course he is.
Well, this is because of if the woman was pregnant, so she will know. So the descendants or her child will know which man. This not till now. It's still going on till now. Although we have DNA, and my questioning was because like if the first month passed and I had my menstruation cycle, so I'm not pregnant, why should I wait for another 3 months?
You need to be sure.
But I didn't have
That's
my
the
menstruation the first time, the second time. There's a fucking test and DNA test and whatever.
But Diana, you're expecting God to know that we have DNA tests. God's
Yeah.
still stuck in the 6th century, so he
And
doesn't
I'm
know about
expecting that you
DNA.
have your menstruation cycle. That means you're not pregnant. But yeah,
Well, we don't know. It might be just
God knows.
bleeding. You might just claim to have menstruation. That's the
Oh.
thing. That's the thing. That's the reason I think for the difference between the divorce and the man dying. The divorce, they don't really care about the child because they could find someone else to take care of him, or he will take care of him when he's alive. But after he dies, because that child will be owed money from the inheritance. So
Yeah.
if she goes screws out with someone else and have another child or have a child, now she's getting more money out of the inheritance.
Yeah.
So they're like, no. Everyone, because remember, Islam is Islam is not a monogamous religion. It's you could have 4 wives. So and it's divided. The inheritance is divided through the wives, the kids. So now we are coming like to the inheritance. So if you have multiple wives and one of them don't have any kids, she will have less money than the rest.
Okay, I've got
He
a couple
died?
more questions.
Yeah.
Ishak Ibrahim asks, what about if the temporary husband has a bigger weapon?
Oh,
If he have a better plow,
You mean a better plow? Okay.
Yeah, what is the solution to that?
Well, if he decides to honor the agreement, she's being divorced next day, so it doesn't matter. But
Yeah.
if they decide to, keep the plowing going, then
it's a legitimate. It's a legitimate
it's a problem.
thing. So
Yeah.
Well, to me, and like especially in the arranged marriage, literally in the majority of arranged marriage, the woman will the first kiss and the first man in her life will be her husband. So it's a privilege. This is the only privilege in this. I think if you have a smaller, badder, worse, nothing actually, she will pick the other guy just for to change, to change, to tasting something else, another type of fruit, like the man says.
Do you know plowing outside your field while you're married is basically a capital offense, punishable by stoning. So
I know.
yeah, 235.
Also, just as the 4 wives thingy didn't apply to Muhammad, this verse didn't apply to Muhammad's wives as well. They were not allowed to remarry after he died.
Yes,
yes,
true.
not
Yeah.
just after he died, after he divorced. So one of the wives that he divorced was the one with blemishes or leprosy, and he told her, "No, you have leprosy. I don't like you." Now that poor woman cannot remarry or be married ever again.
Because she tried the best man in humanity.
Yeah,
Right.
Why should
the
she try
example of
someone
humanity.
else?
Yeah,
Yeah.
We got another question from G Skeptic. This one apparently addressed to Mubarak. Does the man they paid to get married in order the lady to remarry have to have sex with her? Because that sounds like the best career choice. Get paid to
Yes.
screw other men's wives.
Yes. Yes. Because if it doesn't consummate the marriage, it's not it's haram to remarry her husband. She has to have sex with the other guy.
yes,
But they
and
don't do
that's
this. They pay for someone just on paper to have, and there are people I know people will have this job. Just they marry some woman on paper, and on the next don't touch her, don't see her even, and on the next day they go and divorce with the man just for papers in the religious courts.
Now, somebody
yeah.
also threw in a question asking if they can be on the next episode somehow. This is Pancake Can. Yeah, just contact us. I mean, Peter, are they able to use your email for that purpose? And then we can get them on the email list.
Sure.
I think Peter is muted. I probably shouldn't have asked. But yeah, there's.
Oh, sorry,
Contact-
sorry. I was
Yeah.
muted on StreamYard. Sure, they can email me. I'll put my email address in the chat.
All right, appreciate it. And then we'll just put you on the email list, and then when the next time I invite the panel, you'll be included. All right, continuing
All right.
on.
To 236, and we can discuss 237 as well. These are basically what happens if the marriage and the dowry have not been consummated.
Yes.
The dowry has not been paid, the marriage was not consummated, aka the plowing didn't happen yet. And the other one, the 235, is actually just a short note here. Marriage proposals will have to last the full length and they cannot be made in secret. So if you're proposing to marry a woman and you say you're going to marry her next year, you can't marry her next month. And you can't make this proposal in secret. You have to announce it and let people publicly know about it. So that's 235, if I'm missing anything.
Here's a story from my family history, where there was a tribal conflict between two tribes, and my great grandfather was in one side, and he didn't want to fight the war because he knew that they have more weapon, more men. So he made up the story that his fiance or supposed fiance, some in other country, is getting proposed to. She's in the age of marriage, and he was supposed to marry her. So he's gonna go marry her, and he basically got into his boat and went to the next island. Like, see you later, and he didn't show up until after the
He
war
fled.
is done. Exactly.
Smart guy. Smart
Yeah.
guy, your grandpa.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So 233's divorce before consummation or dowry is fine, and she should get something, but she gets to keep some of the dowry, and they should agree. And fine, there is no waiting time. They haven't consummated. There was no plowing done. 337. If you did not consummate it, then she gets to keep half the dowry, unless she decides not to have any of it.
So you get married, you don't really get married, you don't consummate the marriage, so there is no marriage now, but you still get half the money.
If she wants to take it, yes.
And normally, they have if someone got married, a woman and a man, and they didn't agree, and she wants to get divorced, if she did consummate the marriage or not. Literally, especially in Shia, because divorce, it's much more difficult than in Sunni. So in the Shia, the guy will tell her, I want everything, I paid you, I want your mu'akhar, your sadaq, everything, and I want the kids, and then I will divorce you. And so women will retrieve all their rights. Just please let me out of it. So this
Oh
is just,
yeah.
yeah.
If you're talking about, because see, all the divorce laws that we have been reading, it's one-sided. It's only what the men do. What women do is not mentioned here. It's in another case by itself. Um, this is not khul', this is talaq, which is a two different thing, and at least in Sunni fiqh Islam, that the because talaq is one way. It's a man saying to the woman, I don't like you, I don't want you for any fucking reason, I don't want to see your face anymore, basically.
Right.
So yeah, and the
Yeah.
other way around, you need a reason for it. So if you're gonna or you have to basically get the man
Remove
to
him.
agree to either remove him by force, so by a judge order, or get the man to agree for your divorce or your freedom again. So you will have to negotiate with this person, and most of the time, and this is like basically if a person want out of a relationship, most of the time is because the other person in the relationship is not a good person to be with at all.
Yes.
So no matter if he's abusive or not, if he that doesn't, you cannot just go to the judge and be like, well, he beat me. Well, we know beating in Islam is okay. I don't know. Like
No,
there's
actually,
it
if
is
you- if
actually okay. So it's like, what the fuck?
actually, if you like, especially in Shia, because at least in Sunnah they have khula, you can remove him. It's in Shia I don't have. If Allah by Himself came down to the man and tell him, force the man to divorce his wife, and he doesn't want to, she will not be divorced. Even if the judges will tell the woman, if he beats you, bring us some reports, doctor from the doctor, bring us whatever. He killed me. He cheated on me, and they will ask the husband to come to the court. If he doesn't come, she won't be divorced. And so she will give him, actually, lots of women will pay him money, please, this is money. Take our children, we want a divorce. It's a catastrophe. Divorce and the religious courts in the Shia and in Lebanon, actually, in both of them, Sunnah and Shia, it's a catastrophe for women. Yeah.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep. 238. Keep the middle prayer. Is that the middle prayer? Is that the noon prayer? It totally switches subject. So
The
Yeah,
finger.
right.
yeah. I really don't know what's this ayah doing in the middle here.
Yeah, it's like, what the heck? Go away. This is not your place. It's somewhere else, right?
Yeah.
239.
Yeah.
239 still talks about the prayer. So if you are afraid, you can pray walking or riding whatever you're riding. Otherwise, pray normally. Like 239 is basically the basis of all the shortening and movement restricted prayer hadiths that we are going to meet. If you are afraid, you can pray on your horseback.
And that's the thing is the way it's mentioned, the Rijalan or Rukban, the mention of being on foot or on horseback.
Yeah.
You usually pray on your foot when you're praying Islamic prayers. You're standing, you're sitting, you're bowing, you're playing, you're doing all those things. So the thing is, I think it's more like pray as a group in your war formation. It might mean that, might not, but I think it could mean that
I think
you,
this whole verse, the both of the verses, is about when you are at the battlefield.
yeah.
Because why would you be afraid to pray the Lord except in that? So it's
They
the
are
battlefield.
thieves and bystanders where you are traveling and you're afraid for them to ambush you. So that might be, and it's not particularly a war situation. Um,
Maybe.
That is the khawf here, the fear. You are insecure in your place, so you don't know what's gonna happen. So yeah, it could be a war ambush or an actual battlefield standing in line, because we know ancient warfare is one of those things that like they could stand the whole day, two armies just facing each other doing nothing the whole day, just eyeing each other, making sure that the next no one moves, so
yeah.
it could be that situation.
And
We have
back
a
to
couple.
the. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Diana.
No, it's okay. I was talking about the next verse. Go ahead.
Okay, we had another super chat from Anton Gomez, 50 Mexican pesos. As I study the Quran parallel to Aaron, the Sunday sessions with people who actually speak Arabic really help a lot. Happy to donate. So thank you to the panel for that. And then we have another question from Gog Maggot. If it is true the miraculous preservation of the Quran, then why the Quran is not written in chronological order? Is this evidence the Quran was manipulated multiple times?
Well,
Actually,
just these two verses. Wait, these two verses, like jumping from 237 to then two verses 238, 239. Then we go back to 240 to that 237. Is a proof that it was not manipulated whatsoever. Abadan. Arabic. Whatsoever.
it's a proof that Allah is not a coherent speaker.
Yeah, he's always wrong.
It's
He's
just
a little
all
bit
over the-
absent-minded in giving dictation anyway. Then we have another question from Trevor Wright. Allah in Sūrah and still allow for polygamy and conflict? And what is the implication for such concerning human nature and the human condition? Again, I'm having a little bit of trouble understanding that question. Do you guys have it? Allah in Sūrah and still allow for polygamy and conflict?
I
And
think
what
in
is
this
the
surah.
implication for such concerning human nature and the human condition?
Now,
Well, Allah doesn't give a fuck about human nature or human condition.
right,
It doesn't exist.
human condition is immaterial for Allah. Your entire purpose of existence is to pray, and He says so in the book. So your condition He doesn't care. However, allowing for wives and unlimited amount of concubines is a thing, and it's codified in the Quran. Now, to give you a better picture, I haven't seen people with multiple wives in my generation or in my father's generation.
I have.
So I'm not saying they aren't there, but this tradition of marrying, well, this allowance of marrying multiple women in the modern day is not very popular. Let's just put it that
Because
way.
women have louder voices nowadays,
Right. So to
and most probably they are married to another woman, but in secret.
right.
Like, how dare women
Most
have
probably,
human right?
yes. Yeah. And if not married, they are having a mistress.
Yes.
I doubt they
Oh
don't
yeah.
have a mistress. Yeah.
So
Yes,
so
the guy panel know, but more than me. Oh yeah.
yeah. All righty.
You're
So
right, Diana. You are
I
100%
know.
right.
yeah.
I know.
So I am going to talk about 240.
Yes.
So
Back to
if
the
well,
divorce,
we're
actually.
back to divorce again. Actually, this is more like widowship.
Yes.
So if the husband dies and he leaves their wives, because why should he leave just one wife, right? So they and he doesn't specify anything, or he doesn't have a will, right? Then regardless of the will, the wife can stay on the property of the husband for a whole year. And she gets provisions for staying for that whole year. Okay, according to 240. This is not abrogated, by the way.
Yes.
So this is a nice verse. Let's put it. I think we can agree that this is a good verse.
Okay, the good verse is that she may remain property, or she gets to remain on the property. That she
She
can't be
gets,
expelled during that time.
yes, she cannot be expelled, and she needs to be given provisions from the inheritance of the husband, regardless of what her part would be at the end when.
And of course, she can get a relationship or marriage or anything. Do
Right, right,
stay
but
Yeah.
a
that's
widow for
that.
1 year.
Yeah, those all apply, but she gets to stay there for free. They have to pay all her expenses until she decides to leave or the year passes out. So they're 241, and the divorcees are to have provisions, but it doesn't specify how much. So if you have a final divorcee woman, she needs to have some provisions, but it doesn't say what.
So there is no act like the alimony in Islam is limited to how much the man want to pay.
Kind of right, yeah.
But it's about the divorcee, we don't have. I don't know if it, I don't. This is not in Sunnah, but when you have مؤخر وصداق ومؤخر, so if she got divorced, she'll take her مؤخر, her alimony, because they
Yes.
agree on the alimony before getting married.
Yeah, so
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. That's why they have to agree on
yeah,
it. That
Yes.
the
yeah,
man have to accept. The man could
Yes.
say, "No, I don't want. I'm not gonna give you a muach."
right,
We
right.
have to.
But
In Islam, you have to,
yeah,
unless
Not.
she forfeited. No, after divorce in Islam, I think, and the Shia, but I don't know about the Sunni. If she got divorced and she didn't forfeit all her rights to the husband, he have to legally pay her all the muakhar, the alimony they agreed on before getting
Yeah. That's
married.
see that's the thing. And in Sunni Islam, the mu'akhar is a part of the dowry that you suspend until the end of the marriage, until the
No, we don't.
divorce.
No, we
So
don't have
that's why
that.
it's called mu'akhar because it's a part of the
yeah, but,
alimony that you
yeah,
suspend.
but that
Well,
would be a part of the dowry as is. You're just gonna pay it later.
yes. So that and the sadaqa is the alimony, and
Right.
now I'm talking about like Sunni Islam. I don't know about Shia
We
fiqh.
have the same thing.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
the alimony, like I say, I'm getting married, so if I have a groom coming here to marry me, and my parents will sell me and tell them that I want a alimony that like muqaddam, which is mahr, which is like $10,000, and you have to pay me, and the muakhar will be like some people say, like the majority will say hajjah, going to Hajj. So he have to pay me if I don't want to go Hajj, the amount of money that Hajj costs, or maybe a golden necklace or whatever. But we
Yeah.
write it on the contract, and after divorce, if I don't forfeit my rights, you have to pay me legally all the muakhar. But the
Okay.
muakhar and the mahar are different. The alam is different elements to us.
Yeah.
Yeah, in Sunni Islam, the mu'akhar, you could have an actual wedding without having a mu'akhar on the contract. So you could have a wedding with no alimony at the end, or even specify saying that if they divorce, he does not have to pay.
No, it's a must.
Yeah.
But
So yeah.
but the thing is about again, it's like literally rare when a woman can divorce a man or make him divorce her without forfeiting all her rights. So no matter what's written on the contract, the majority of women just to get out of this marriage will forfeit all their rights. So it's worthless paper for me.
Yippers. Let's go for 2243.
Yes.
What does this mean? I'm lost. I'm freaking lost on this one. What is it doing here? And what does this even mean?
I think this is attached to the 241, 243,
Yeah,
2,
no, this is completely different.
242. No.
243.
Yeah, because the
Prophet,
subject.
consider those who abandoned their homeland in fear of death, even though there were thousands of them. Thousands of them?
Yeah.
God said to them, die. Okay.
And they
then-
died, even though they left of fear of death. God just, yeah, you die. And they
then
died.
brought them back to life again. God shows real favor to people. What? But most of them
Okay.
are ungrateful.
Okay.
Okay, let me explain.
I'm
let me
not
explain
alone
what.
here.
Yeah, let me explain what happened here. Someone edited the divorce and the widower legislative into the surah because
Exactly.
what happened is you could because they talk in the beginning about fighting and you are being
Yes.
afraid of fighting, and then they talk about divorce, and then
And
they
then
talk
pray.
about then talk about the pray being afraid and you have to keep up the prayer, and then now talk again a bit. Did Allah don't you remember the story of the people who have been afraid of dying and then Allah killed them? So he's going back to that older story that if you are afraid of, if you're not, if you are afraid of fighting, Allah will have control over you and
Whoever
basically
wrote
kill
this
you.
ayah was severely drunk and wasted and high. All of them together.
Well, the other important thing is, as Mubarak pointed out and Diana confirmed, this wasn't written by God.
Yeah, of course.
This wasn't dictated by God. This was a human interpolating, inserting what they want to put in there.
Yes.
Right. Okay. So a fake verse. Or Allah fails to speak coherently again.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, 244. Yeah, go fight in the name of Allah. Yeah, go just go do it. It's gonna be good.
I agree with Mubarak. The verses about divorce should be in Surah Nisa, and
Right.
someone mixed them together.
Somebody got their papers all mixed up. I'll
Yes,
blame
I
Ali
think
for that.
Ali, okay.
He's gonna get a lot of heat today.
I'm gonna get a lot of heat from my family. They're in the other room hearing, listening to me. I'm
Oh,
gonna
no.
My word.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Okay, we are going to gracefully skip this unless Aaron wants to comment on this. The section between 246 and 251. It's a nice little story about Moses.
Yes.
Because every surah has to have the same story. It has to have a story about Moses.
This is David and Goliath story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I don't think we need to spend a whole lot of time on it.
I just have to say that again, he's trying to get his followers to fight. So he's telling them stories about when they went after Moses died, they went to the prophet and told him, "Give us a king." You know the whole story. So they were like, "Oh, we'll not fight now." So God cursed them.
Okay. Well, there you go. It's a mini story, just like the others, but it's in a Medani surah, and it has longer verses. So yeah, it ends at 51. 255 is my next comment.
God, there is no God but him, the ever-living, the ever-watchful. Neither slumber nor sleep overtakes him. All that is in the heavens and in the earth belongs to him. Who is there that can intercede with him except by his leave? Who knows what is before them and what is behind them? But they do not comprehend any of his knowledge except what he wills. His throne extends over the heavens and the earth. It does not weary him to preserve them both. He is the Most High, the most tremendous.
Awesome.
Okay, here's a mistake in your translation.
One mistake. Okay.
But go ahead, Boogie. You have it written down.
I was going along the lines of the comment that this verse is used for protection against jinn attacks.
This verse is the most powerful verse in the Quran. And now, Aaron, you'll not be attacked by any jinn on
They
earth
can't get-
or sky or underneath earth.
Well, I don't need to worry about Jinn because I think we've already sprayed for them.
They write this verse and put it in a talisman and wear it around their necks.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this
it's
is
all around the
Ayatul
house now.
Kursi.
Yeah.
Al-Kursi.
Yeah,
It's the peak of the Quran, according to Muhammad. This verse.
Well,
Yeah, I just realized that some other comments or questions were on the list that I didn't notice before. So we got a quick super chat for Robert Lawrence, $5. Thank you very much for that. And then we have East Fremantle again asks the question: in Indonesia, there is a lot of Arabic sex tourism where a Muslim man can marry a prostitute one day, have sex with her, then divorce in the morning. Is this really allowed?
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
there, your chief
Yeah.
mufti just said yes.
Yep. You have loopholes all over. Okay.
Nice loophole.
that's
and
the
then-
main thing. That's why to have religion, you need loopholes.
Ishaq Ibrahim asks, what says, Ibn Masud Quran, Uthman Quran, and other Qurans actually have different verse orders according to Quran science.
What?
I'm not sure
Yes.
how to read that.
Ibn
Okay.
Mas'ud, who is one of the followers of Muhammad, have his own. He was able to read and write. So when Muhammad was telling the reciting the Quran, he wrote it down. And when Uthman was trying to edit the Quran, Ibn Mas'ud refused to give them his Quran, and he said, "I'm gonna keep it." And that was a big no-no, to a point that he actually armed his slaves and servant around his own, like, kind of little garden, like walled garden, to protect himself and his Quran until kind of they cooled it off. But he was like, no, I'm keeping my Quran, which have not just different verses order, totally different verses, like different stories and different things. It's a different version of the Quran.
Uh-huh. And we can still read this?
No,
No.
because even him, even though that he recognized that the Quran being standardized at that moment, and he doesn't want to again start a fitna, so he just buried it with him, and supposedly it's buried with him. There is some stuff that have been inherited in fiqh because he was a faqih, which is he's a scholar in Islamic studies, and some of his ideas and some of his judgment in the scholarship came from his own Quran, which it's not in the other Qurans.
I see. Okay, and then we have one more. I think one more. Nope, there's two. Enlightened thinker says Quran 2:193 is promoting Islamic imperialism, where the Islamic Empire take over lands and implement Sharia. Is this right?
Did we stutter in understanding what 193 says?
Okay, so I guess that's right there. That's
Yeah,
right in one sense.
and all those expanding the expansion of uh, of Muslim
What the hell?
control and even modern day
ISIS.
Salafi fighting groups, jihadists, they use those verses as a reason why they should go and fight everyone else, because it's usually everyone else except them they are wrong.
Hmm. And G Skeptic says, can the jinn protection verse also means there's no free will because Allah knows everything? Just wondering.
I don't know. I don't know if this has anything to do with free will.
Yeah.
This is
Okay.
like, yeah, it's just there are no jinn and there is no protection from jinn, and this is all hooey.
Exactly.
We got another question. Trevor and Wright. In Sunni and Shia Islam, is interpretation one and the same concerning the Surah and Quran as it is viewed in the same light?
In the majority, yes.
Yeah,
Majority.
By and large, Sunni and Shia do agree on, let's say, 98% of what the Quran say, and the other 2%,
Are
they go to
parts
war
of the
over.
power, yes.
Yeah, they go to war over immediately.
Then Mysterious Monolith offers £5. Thank you for that. Says, at Saturn, answered in the chat, marriage loophole. I don't. Okay. So I guess that wasn't a question for me. All right, war for the panel. Anton Gomez says, does the Masud or Uthman mention
Osman.
the surah that was eaten by a goat?
no, that's
Probably
a
no,
third
because
Quran. That's a third Quran. That's Aisha's Quran that have the goat eating through it.
Yes, so that goat knows what's on that paper, and nobody else does.
Just
And
like the other guy.
I love this story. That's how much Muslim really. The more Muslims study their religion, the more they will find it's full of shit. Because the moment you tell them that there's the goat ate the Quran, and people still pass judgment on adulterers, basically because based on the verses that the goat ate, that no one knows, that Aisha swears that there were verses about stoning people in there, but the goat ate it. I'd be like, no, there is no story about the goat. We're like, no, fucking look it up. You look in your book and your sources. Everyone said there was a goat that ate the Quran. I don't know. Maybe it's tasty or something. I don't know. I never ate the Quran. Should ask apostate prophet.
Yeah, he probably knows.
He did
Okay.
eat the Quran, so
256, please.
256.
before we go to 256, in your translation says his throne expanded the skies on earth. It's not his throne, it's his footstool. Or in another translation, his Ark of the Covenant, because the Ark of the Covenant is the footstool of God.
Mm.
So
Okay, why?
I thought
Okay.
it said that the earth was the footstool of God.
here he have so much feet that it have to expand earth and skies.
So you're saying Allah is Bigfoot?
Octopus. Is
Yeah.
octopus.
He's Bigfoot.
With feet.
Yeah. But here's the thing. I mentioned of the Ark of the Covenant embedded in the Quran because well, Islam didn't come with anything new ever. Everything Islam brought is stolen from somewhere else.
Yep.
And
Okay.
Muslims will say that is proof that Islam is real.
That's proof Islam's real. Yeah.
All right. 256, please.
There is no
Yeah.
compulsion.
Sorry.
There is no compulsion in religion. Really? Really? Seriously?
It's abrogated out. It's
That's why I
okay. It's
love-
abrogated. Don't worry, it's abrogated.
True guidance has become distinct from error. So whoever rejects false gods and believes in God, there's a contradiction right there.
Yeah.
Has,
Yes.
has grasped the firmest handhold one that will never break. God is all hearing and all knowing.
Yeah, the Urwatul Wuthqa is the good rope, right? The solid rope, the strong rope. And of course, the narrow. Anyways, this is interesting, because it's abrogated by 9.5, so there is force in religion.
That
They
and,
would-
that and
From
just
the
every
same verse.
Yeah,
and every part of it is wrong.
yes. If this
If this
verse was not abrogated, it would have left room for other beliefs and non-belief. It actually would have left the room if it was not abrogated by 9.5. But it is. It would have completely changed what the face of Islam looked like today.
If this verse be true, I would not have to lie to be a Muslim every day.
Right. Just to
pretend
save
to be
your
a
life.
Muslim, yeah.
Just to
Yeah.
save your life, right.
I
So-
can't even imagine what that's like. I mean, there's a lot of stupid things about the country that I live in, and I'm very frustrated about. But at least there's that I don't have to. I don't have to like pray to a God I don't believe in. I don't have to pretend to believe it.
Sometimes it's annoying, but sometimes you can keep your mouth shut. Sometimes I can't keep my mouth shut, and that's bad.
Yeah, I understand that.
Like for example, a few days ago, there was a sheikh explaining to people on TV why they are allowed to eat with a fork and spoon. And I said to turn it off because it's stupid. You don't need like someone telling you that thing to know that that's okay. And I got so much shit for that. I swear.
Yeah, I would guess. All right, so I've got another super chat. Darth Myself, who gives €5. Good job to all the panel members. However, I am going to be biased here and wish for my donation to go to Diana, since she's Lebanese like me. All right,
Oh,
Diana, I don't know how we're
okay.
going to do that electronically, but I'll find a way.
No, it's okay. I'll give it back to your channel because you're giving us a platform.
Okay, so it happened here.
Because we're Lebanese, we can feel that crisis we are in right now.
Okay,
Get
so
it.
my next notes is on a small section, a mini story, 258 to 260. And it's an Abraham story.
And is this one that we also find in the Bible?
I don't know if you do, but it's about Abraham's story and about how the Hajj movements and things are happening and why are they happening. So it's kind of like an Abraham story, but it is Mecca and Hajj related.
Mm-hmm.
But let's look at it if we want to.
Okay. You don't want me to read it?
Yeah, just read it. Let's get through it and then move
Okay.
to the next one.
258, you say?
Yes, 258 to 260.
Prophet, have you not thought about the man who disputed with Abraham about his Lord because God had given him power to rule? When Abraham said, "It is my Lord who gives life and death," he said, "I too give life and death." So Abraham said, "God brings the sun from the east, so bring it from the west." The disbeliever was dumbfounded. God does not guide those who do evil. I wonder if the disbeliever was dumbfounded because Abraham believes that his God actually moves the sun around instead of
Referring
the
to
earth
Nimrod, by the
turning.
way.
Or
Or-
by the alibi. Yeah. What's the
Or take the one
reasoning
who
is
passed
stupid.
by a ruined town. He said, "How will God give this life when it has died?" A ruined town? So God made him die for 100 years, then raised him up, saying, how long did you stay like that? He answered, a day or part of a day. God said, no, you stayed like that for 100 years. Look at your food and drink. They have not gone bad. Look at your donkey. We will make you a sign for the people. Look at the bones. See how we bring them together and clothe them with flesh. When all became clear to him, he said, now I know that God has power over everything. That was very familiar. I've read this before. I don't know.
Ezra, right? Isn't it?
Yeah, I don't remember where I read this before, but that was stupid.
Exactly.
Why did you kill the guy in the first place? Forget that you resurrected him 100 years later. I mean, that guy lost interest on his loans.
This was
No. The thing is, go ahead, Turtle. You don't speak
sorry.
much. Go ahead.
I think this was about Ezra, the guy who got brought back to rewrite the Torah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and it, I don't know about the interest on his loans, but just the penalties on his overdue library books are going to kill him.
Yeah, and his children would be missing him. Like, where is Dad for 100 years? Right?
Well, isn't there something weird with this verse? Like, God said the guy that we resurrected you, and he asked him how many days do you think? Said 1 day. Said no, for 100 years. Look at your food and your drink and your donkey; they're still the same. So that proves the guy's word, not God's. Only 1 day, not 100 years.
Well, then you can't tell the difference now, can you?
Yeah. Okay. That's the stupidest alibi I've ever heard.
It was 100 years. There is no sign of it because your food is still fresh and your donkey is still fine. Oh.
What the fuck? Yeah. I told you this verse was written by a drunk man. You don't have to.
This is either a bad copy or a very stupid story.
Written by a drunk man about a drunk man.
About
Yeah,
drunk.
it is a stupid story. I think we have a consensus on that.
Yes.
Okay, the ulama has agreed.
Yeah.
264, please.
264, and that, let's see, that's 261, 263. There we go. You who believe, do not cancel out your charitable deeds with reminders of hurtful words, like someone who spends his wealth only to be seen by people, not believing in God in the last day. Such a person is like a rock with earth on it. Heavy rain falls and leaves it completely bare. Such people get no rewards for their work. God does not guide the disbelievers.
Okay.
And this is why when I hear people like a Muslim say, I told them, you know this person and he's Christian or he's like an atheist or an infidel or whatever, a Buddha guy, and this guy have never lied, and we know people like this have never lied. He's a very nice man. He's very churchful and everything. Say yes, but God knows what's in the heart, and God is merciful. He's gonna send them to heaven. This verse was for all of you. God will not send these good people to heaven because they don't believe in him.
Yep. So, next one is a small section from 2:275 to 2:276. No need to read it. Usury is haram. This is the verse that does it, and that influences all of the Islamic financial transactions that we know of. Generally, this segment of verses is used to promote Sharia law because we only want interest-free bank loans, right? So who doesn't like that? But we are digging into Sharia as it is, and we are on the first surah that is fully Sharia. That's the Islamic legal system and its laws. This is just one law of them. Okay?
I agree.
Yeah. It's straightforward. It says you don't do that. Now, there is a disagreement of what usury is and what it isn't, and some banks charge interest. Other banks don't charge interest, but they have fees. So you pay the same kind of money, but it's called fees and fees.
And also about this, if I put my, because like in our bank, our dead bank system now, but in our bank system, it used to be like I put my money there, like my debits,
Mhm.
and I take interest. This interest is also haram.
Oh,
Yes.
so you're going to hell for having the interest?
Well, now I don't have any money. No
Oh,
Lebanese guy have any money. They took all our money, so we're not going to hell for that. We are in hell right now, but okay,
all right. 282.
we're almost
All right, I'm
done.
reading that one.
Yeah.
Okay,
Oh,
you who believe, when you contract a debt for a stated term, put it down in writing. Have a scribe write it down justly between you. No scribe should refuse to write. Let him write as God has taught him. Let the debtor dictate, and let him fear God, his Lord, and not diminish the debt at all. If the debtor is feeble minded, weak, or unable to dictate, then let his guardian dictate justly. Call in 2 men as witnesses. If 2 men are not there, then call in 1 man and 2 women out of those you approve as witnesses. So that
mm,
so that if one of the 2 women should forget, because you know how women are,
yeah.
the other can remind her. Oh,
There you go. There you go.
let the witnesses not refuse when they are summoned. Do not disdain to write the debt down, be it large or small, along with the time it falls due. This way is more equitable in God's eyes, more reliable as testimony, and more likely to prevent doubts arising between you. But if the merchandise is there and you hand it over, there is no blame on you if you do not write it down. Have witnesses to present whenever you trade with one another, and let no harm be done if either scribe or witness, for you did cause them harm, it would be a for if you did cause them harm, it would be a crime on your part. Be mindful of a God. He will teach you. He has full knowledge of everything.
Yes. That was one verse.
That was stupid.
If you drop it in a house, it would take the roof down with it.
Well, don't ask me what stupid. What part is stupid in that?
Well, the one that makes sense is to write your agreements down. That makes sense. The rest
Yeah,
of it and the 2 women part,
because I will forget, and the other woman will remind me because we have half minds.
right. So, how do you get into a marriage contract if you can't remember the terms of your own contract?
I don't. My parents, my dad will write the contract. They will tell me. Remember, I don't write the contract. The people
Oh,
in charge of me, my dad to my husband.
so you're just
Remember
being
that.
sold off like cattle.
I am.
Oh, okay, got it.
And
Well,
then I become a field. I'm a cattle, then in bed I become a field.
and then you become a plowing field. Exactly.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. I'm buying 284. 284 is my next note.
Whatever is in the heavens and in the earth belongs to God, and whether you reveal or conceal your thoughts, God will call you to account for them. He will forgive whoever he will and punish whoever he will. He has power over all things.
Well, this verse made me write the story when I was still a Muslim and I still a believer. And I wrote a story, and the guys know about it, about me, Armageddon, and the world ending, and the resurrection day, and God at the end of it will kill himself. And I wrote it down because to me, God knows that I thought about it. So if He knows that I thought about it, I should write it down because He knows that I'm thinking a sinful thinking about God killing Himself. So this verse helped me later on to be honest, even now as an atheist. I said, okay, why people say, and don't lie about it. Don't say that you're an atheist. I said, but if God is here, He knows that I'm an atheist. Why would I be? Why would I hide it? He knows already. So I'm gonna say it. So this helped me. It wasn't a bad verse for me. For the other people, I don't know.
Yeah, it's abrogated by 286. unfortunately, and we will get to that one later.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
not far. This is a surah that abrogates itself often because
Yeah.
Allah fails in speaking coherently again. So 284, very good. 285. This is a strange verse. 285.
Yeah.
What the hell is going on here? It basically makes a statement. Allah makes a statement about the prophet. You want to read it? You
Yes,
want to?
please. The messenger believes in and believes in what has been sent down to him from his Lord, as do the faithful. They all believe in God, his angels, his scriptures, and his messengers. We make no distinction between any of his messengers, they say.
Very
We hear
important.
and obey. Grant us
That's
your
all.
forgiveness, our Lord, to you we all return.
Yes.
Well, I don't.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I don't see something because in Islam we emphasize that all the prophets are important to God. Every prophet has a special place in God's heart. And the only thing about Muhammad, he's the last of the prophets with no miracles. But I think it's I don't know. I don't think it's abrogated or and everywhere we see this that all like Jesus is Isa is a prophet and Moses we have Moses more than Muhammad in Quran and all the prophets are important to God. So I don't know why. Well,
Yeah. Well, I don't know why it is abrogated, but the book says it is. So it's probably some part of there that 286 is somehow encroaches into and changes a little bit. But I think most of these verses stand as it is.
yeah.
Right. We have seen these partial aggregations before. It's not new to us.
Mm.
And that brings us to 286. So I didn't get into the aggregations because we're going to get to it anyways.
Yeah.
So this is the verse that causes enormous pain to people who have suffered loss in their lives. And
Been through that.
it's utterly wrong, unacceptable. And how could he have said that? This
Yes.
is just this is not inhumane to say and do. This is, you want to read it, Aaron?
God does not burden any soul with more than it can bear. Each gains whatever good it has done and suffers its bad. Lord, do not take us to task if we forget to, or make mistakes. Lord, do not burden us as you burdened those before us. Lord, do not burden us with more than we have strength to bear. Pardon us, forgive us, and have mercy on us. You are our protector, so help us against the disbelievers.
This is
Because we're somehow the enemy.
yeah.
You want to say that you believe things. You want to make believe things. You want to say that things are true that you can't show to be true, and we're the bad guys, not the liar. The liar's not the bad guy. It's the guy who says that that's a lie, or that you shouldn't say things are true when they're not. Somehow, the honest person is the bad guy, and then you're also telling God what to do, while admitting that you can't tell God what to do. And saying that God never burdens anybody with more than they can bear, except for all the millions of people he burdened to death. All those people who had calamities befall them that killed them. God didn't do that. I'm sorry.
Or
I'm sure
trauma.
it's their fault somehow. God didn't
Yeah.
do the thing that he did, except that God controls absolutely everything, including my disbelief.
Yep.
Yes.
That's Islam.
Yeah, and the beginning and well, there it is, right?
Aaron, you're officially a Muslim now.
There. So the first sentence of this verse is basically to which the answer is bone cancer in babies. How's that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or even traumas, or even being persecuted, being hurt, being
They-
raped, everything.
Yeah, they can't bear it.
Everything.
They
Yes.
can't bear it. What? Yeah, you didn't know that they can't bear it. You made sure that they can't bear it.
Yeah.
So
So that amazingly, is the last verse out
last
of this
verse.
ridiculously long.
That was the fly flicker.
Even the last part of that verse, it's repeated to us so often that the disbelieving people are always against us. That a Muslim always feels that anyone who's not Muslim is trying to get them somehow. So there's a lot of tribalism being created.
Yeah, there was
Yeah,
somebody in the
because-
chat that said that everything that you guys were talking about is boring. That he'll come back for some kind of attack against the disbelievers or some such thing. I think is what I read. I skimmed through it pretty quickly, but I'm really surprised that seems to be the problem. Where if you're science minded, you're not going to say that things are true unless you can show the truth of it. Whereas religion is just make up whatever you want and call. It's like when you make up statistics off the top of your head, I just spout them as if it's true. That's what religion is, as far as I see.
It's not only about that, because this verse, like, God will not give you more than you can bear, and like, if I got cancer, it's because Aaron, you're an atheist. That's why I got cancer. What the fuck does infidels have to do with? What the fuck? Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so
Uh,
the next one we're going to do. I'm surprised it took us 4 sessions to beat this thing down. The next, according to the order of revelation, the next surah that we're going to cover would be Surah 8, followed by Surah 3. Now, Surah 3 has 200 verses. I'm hoping that I would have normally thought that we could get through 200 verses in a single session, but this is 285, and it took us 4 sessions. So I don't know. And this last one did go over significantly. So when shall we meet again? 2 weeks from today?
I don't mind.
That's
I'm
fine.
good.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Okay, so that would be
The 22nd?
August 22nd. All right, and we will reconvene to discuss Surah 8. And I want to
Sure.
thank everybody involved so much for making this show happen. I like that we are doing this. I don't think anybody's ever done this before. I've never seen a critical analysis of the Quran. Anybody else pipe in? Has anybody ever done what we're doing?
There are, but not on YouTube channel like this. They upload YouTube videos.
Individual videos where they're
Yeah,
doing
yeah.
it themselves. Okay.
Yeah.
The other thing is, I think now you get the picture why the book is ordered this way. Because the first surah in the book is basically necessary for prayer, and this is the second one.
Yeah.
It contains the rules and regulations of how to conduct your life as a Muslim. So that's why it is the second one in the book, because it is important for Muslims to behave legally in their system. For us who are going to learn the whole theology from the get-go, we have to go by the chronological order because that's how we get here. And now that we've gotten here, we understand why these verses are the way they are, because they're no stranger to us anymore. Right? So I think this is a better way to understand what the Quran is about versus I want to use it for everyday work.
Yeah.
Right?
All right. Then a closing note, we also got another super chat. Doubting Thomas, $20 for super sticker. Thank you very much for that, Thomas. All right. Everybody want to say their closing goodbyes?
There was one question in the side chat earlier that wasn't addressed. Someone asked if you are done with the Quran, are you going to do something similar with the Bible?
I have been thinking the last few days that I would like to go back through reading different, not doing the full Bible study, but doing certain verses or certain like doing Genesis 1 and 2 together would be good. Exploring the contradictions and what I see as idiocies of Genesis 3, that sort of thing. I might do something like that.
Great.
Are you thinking of doing something similar with the Torah?
No.
No. I mean, technically, if you're talking about the Tanakh, that's what I'm doing. But no, I
Yeah.
wouldn't be doing the Torah.
Uh,
I see Judaism as too peripheral. It's not the dominant force that Islam and Christianity are. But literally, it's not the threat that they both are.
And the Quran is
Someone-
literally half bit is the Torah.
If someone is interested in a study of the Bible like the one we are doing to the Quran, check Amy Newman's channel. She is going through the Bible basically chapter by chapter, reading it, and it's entertaining to say the least.
Yeah, she does change the names because An-Ra apparently is in the Bible, according to that Bible
Yeah, it's
study.
not Aaron, it's Aaron.
Okay. All right. Well, let's close it out, and we'll see you guys in 2 weeks on the 22nd.
Okay.
See you then.
All right.